sometimes during the show when I sing to people also, and it's not even me, it's just the thing that happens in between us. It can make you forget that you even have a body, and you can dance and you're not even out of breath when you really should be. Of course, it's adrenaline, but it's also more than that.
The dictionary definition of a seeker is a person who's attempted to find or obtain something which is generally not a physical object. Hello and welcome to The Seekers, a podcast that explores what it means to be a modern-day seeker. I'm Rachel Fuller, and in this series I'm talking to a range of different people about whether they consider themselves to be seekers. I'll be finding out what they're searching for and how they're going about it, whether that's spiritual enlightenment, the meaning of life, fulfillment, acceptance, peace, happiness, or even just a Gucci handbag. The reason I'm doing this podcast is because I've written the music and lyrics for a musical interpretation of Siddhartha. It's being released this autumn with a beautiful accompanying graphic novel. Siddhartha is the story of a young man's journey towards spiritual enlightenment. And when I read it, it resonated with me because I think as human beings we are all seeking something. It was written by Hermann Hesse in 1922, and to date it has sold over 100 million copies globally. So I'm really interested to explore this theme. What is a modern day seeker? What are we seeking in today's world? In this episode, I'm joined by the amazing Norwegian singer-songwriter Aurora. I'm such a big fan. You must check her out, she's amazing. Before I met with Aurora, I made sure that I read her book, which accompanied the album of the same name, The Gods We Can Touch. And it's extraordinarily interesting because she's inspired by Greek mythology and religion, and I think always has been, and also nature. So I wondered if these things inspired her own creative process. I began by asking Aurora if she would mind reading the introduction from her book.
Okay, so dear listener, I will now read to you the very first words of my little book. From when I heard its name in my head, it was hard to think of anything else. This album grew bigger in my mind, and I knew I had to give a lot of my attention to the past of people and our ways. I've always been fascinated by religion and spiritualism, what helps us, what frightens us, and how we all use the greater unknown to mend, destroy, create, worship, or rule. We have had such a deep hunger for there to be something more to this life, to this world, and to us. We have longed for the unknown to be answered, and for the meaningless to have meaning. We wonder, and we still don't really know anything. And I believe it to be a very, very beautiful thing, important even, to ask, to wonder, and be open to whatever is out there. The Gods We Can Touch is an album about wonder. To wonder why everything is like it is, why we put shame on ourselves and each other for human behavior, why we went from worshipping earth and everything we had here in our world to worshipping something in the sky. Why did we move our gods to the clouds? To wonder how this is all affected the way we live and the way we treat each other, our animals, our planet, the way we decide who is an enemy and who is a friend. I don't really know, but it sure does fascinate me. Why did we put gods in the sky? Why are they so out of reach? Why do we have to be forgiven? Why do we punish our women? And what is bad about being human? Everything that makes this world a beautiful place to exist in already exists within us. Every single one of us. Through our eyes, our hearts, and our minds. Through our tears and tasting palates. Through our imagination and our creativity. Our trust and our connection to each other. To the children we inspire. And the children who inspire us. Everything is right here. The gods we can touch.
It's so beautiful, and I love that you ask questions, because I think so much of what we struggle with today is people believe they know, you know, especially with a lot of religion. This is the truth, this is it.
and there's no room for anything else. And I love that you speak about wonder and open-mindedness and not knowing. And I think not knowing is something people really struggle with. It's like they want an answer. They want to be told what to do.
Yeah, we do.
And you say that you were always fascinated by religion and spiritualism. And was that from when you were a child?
Yeah. I was quite hyperfixated on very few artists and movies and books in my childhood, and I didn't really have access to that much either. But I was a very big fan of Leonard Cohen. He has incredible, like, feminine divine energy to me as a male. He still has this in him, and his softness and kind of also humorous approach to really big and small themes about humans and the world has always fascinated me too, when, after I could understand what he was saying. But I did like his songs before I knew English as well, because I could feel that they carried something serene, And he talks a lot about religion and the Sisters of Mercy. He talks about a religion in a way that really fascinated me as a child and really taught me how religion, spiritualism, is also just music. It's also art. It's also a safe haven. It's a place to go. But it's also the root of a lot of injustice, burning of women, the mistreating of children. It's been a way to justify the claiming of power, which I think in human history and nature, often the people who, claim power can be quite dangerous, but somehow we value that masculine approach, claiming power. We like that as people.
In your book, you say 400 years ago, you think you would have been burned as a witch. I like me for sure.
You would have definitely.
I would definitely have gone up in flames. And
together.
Probably anybody associated with me. They also, didn't they used to drown witches? They used to throw witches.
They tied us to
Yeah, and if
to
you
a chair.
floated, you were guilty, and if you sank, you were innocent, but obviously dead.
There were no way to, and even just a woman who could read.
I don't know a lot about Greek gods and mythology, but I learnt a little bit in your book, and there's almost as many female gods as there are male gods. And the fact that they're imperfect, it's almost like they're allowed to fuck up. I quite like.
And they're allowed to fuck.
Yeah. I mean, if you were a god, you would want to get down with that as well.
And obviously, like everything, it has its flaws. There's always some unnecessary hurt, in every religion or mythology. But in every other mythologies I kind of looked back on, trying to do research for my previous album, was when it changed, and when did we start being much more hurt by our own religion and shamed by our own God that we made, and when could we see ourselves more in our gods? Because I wish that upon everyone, to see themselves in whoever they worship or look up to.
With your creative process when you write, because I'm always interested in how people write, although you can't really ever truly explain it. Do you feel like you align ever with something greater? I mean, I don't want to use the word channel, which I would perhaps use for myself, because when I sit at a piano, I definitely feel like I become sort of like a clear channel, and there's an alignment, but I don't hear or see, angels or spirits or hear anything, but I definitely feel energetically like I connect to something bigger. So it's a synergy of myself and my skills. I can play the piano and I can do all that, but something outside of myself too. When you write, do you feel connected to something outside of yourself?
Very much so.
Mm.
I feel very little like myself. I rarely put my own griefs and pain into music, but I write a lot about what I see around me. Or, to me, music is not a reflection of me. It's my personal choices that I use to wrap the soul of my song in my type of clothing and bones, but the very soul and core of everything I write is very much, I feel like, a direct reflection of just the whole world. So I feel like it's bigger than me, and I feel smaller the bigger I get. In between the songs on stage, I'm always more and more aware of how small I am compared to the thing I'm doing now.
I speak to quite a few artists who will say things like, well, we're just a channel, like we are channels. But then also I speak with artists who genuinely believe it's all them. It's like, I suppose you would call it ego or self.
Mm.
And I think with what's going on in the world at the moment, the other thing that I really loved so much in your book, you put everything that makes this world a beautiful place to exist in already exists within us. And this is the whole philosophy of the seeker and Siddhartha. Goes on this journey, desperate to find out what's the meaning, why am I here, what is my purpose, what am I supposed to be doing, I want to know myself. And the ferryman says to him, everything that you wish to know you already possess. And Siddhartha's really annoyed by that, because he's like, what do you mean? That's really annoying. I don't know it all, or I wouldn't be looking. But in actual fact, what you say here is true.
That's why it can't be taught either.
It cannot be taught.
Because the words makes no sense. It's kind of like we are lacking, or we forget maybe, the organ to perceive. Like we need the nose to smell, the eyes to see. And we need this, we are born with this organ that perceives this naturally, that kind of dies out. Because it's a more metaphorical organ than an actual one. But I feel like it's hard to learn it from someone, because you have to just find that ability to perceive what is already there.
We don't have the physical language to
No.
articulate what it is.
That's why we need music.
That we are speaking about. We don't have the vocabulary.
No.
And people try, so you may have Eckhart, or, they do a very good job at talking about being present. But actually, I feel that through music and art, my own personal belief is that art in all its forms has the ability to bypass the conceptual mind and go straight to the soul, straight to that part of us, which, as you say, in so many, I think is quietened or dumbed or shut down, but does exist. And that's why music is so important. I feel like it all points to something that's already within us.
I think so too. And that's why I do feel like it's being channeled, that the music goes through you, from being unperceivable to you helping it being able to be perceived by people. But I feel like it's more like it's just in the air all the time, and you know how to translate some kind of ancient language that we need served in a way we understand now. Because maybe way before, as you see in a lot of indigenous cultures, they've been saying these same things for so many years. And the world somehow always tend to want to beat them down and make them disappear, together with their wisdom and spiritualism that they've carried for years and years. And you see that we've attacked our own spiritualism at its roots for so long now. And almost at the same time, when a colonialism and the hierarchy kind of became what steered our world to this kind of shit position we're in now, where so many people are still hurting and our planet is dying. But I feel like it's it was the same time when we lost our roots that we ourselves have been attacking without knowing what a disaster we're heading into. At the same time, our world started also being mistreated and dying. So it's all very connected. I think that's why we talk about politics, and many people often call me a political artist. But to me, a lot of these things are purely emotional. Like, why wouldn't equality or the survival of Mother Earth, or why would it not be an emotional thing? It is also. And I think way more of the issues of the world, the way we treat each other, ourselves, and whatever cannot say no or speak for itself. We take the chance most likely to just take advantage of it or hurt it, which is a devastating truth or misunderstanding of our own kind, I don't know. But feels like it's all very connected to one thing, just what you're talking about. The being spiritual. I think it could solve a lot for us. And now people are apathic as well.
I do feel like, I mean, I don't consider myself young anymore. I'm 50. And so I'm often in scenarios now around my stepson who's in his 30s, or my goddaughter and her children who are young. And I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so old. And but I listen to them talking, and there's definitely a real sensitivity and an empathy in our younger generation that expresses itself and takes accountability as well, rather than just blaming, which is perhaps what the older generations have done. Like, you fucked up our planet. It's more like the planet is in trouble. How can we help? And also with the current wars and everything that's going on, there's a real sense of consciousness gathered. And I think you see that in the easiest way to describe it is like at a concert, or a rock concert, or even a theatre show or something, where a whole group of human beings come together and with the same purpose in mind. And especially with art and entertainment, they're just sort of leaving all their stuff at home, and they come and they're present, and the mind switches off, and there's an experience. And with everybody doing that at the same time, it becomes like a group consciousness. So it's like, if we are all like raindrops, there's a puddle, and a really big concert, maybe like a little lake, and that energy is incredibly powerful as a force for good. But I think with art, and especially with music like yours, which comes from such a divine place, and your voice and your writing and your words, and you say you connect deeply to what is within you and everything around you. And that can't be explained with words. It just is. And so people come to see you and they listen, whether they're in the bath or at a concert, and everything is energy. Everything goes into the world. So I feel like art might save us. I feel like art could save us.
I feel like we have come to a place where that is frighteningly true. And in many ways it makes sense, because for a long time, just art, not as a talent that some people are selected and viewed as being good at, but more as a behavior we all do. Art has already saved many of us, because it is incredibly important, and we don't even know why. Now we need music to be something more, I think, than we have needed it to be before. Because we're in a time where, just looking like at the presidential debates in America, like what idiots are leading the world. They're older than the high five. And age doesn't matter, but when it's to the point where you don't even know if they know who they are anymore. And
it's absurd.
And it's very absurd, and it's very upsetting that, is this what we value? Is this how little we value the future? we let our children now die in many places without knowing how to stop it. And then we ruin the possibility of a future in the environment. You know, we don't act as fast as we have to. And then also the people we select to lead us there to our hopeful future has nothing good to say. I understand why people feel hopeless. And I feel like we trust now not even the experts. We don't care about what the scientist says. They've been warning us about global warming since the 60s, and we haven't listened because facts doesn't hit us through the apathy our current world are forcing us to bathe in. But art does hit through the apathy, kind of hits us in oh my God, yeah, that's true. That is upsetting. And it's fueled by something good. So I really think and expect and hope that we don't ruin art as well, because we're heading into a scary time with AI and marketing being I meet so many young artists who care more about making reels and marketing than to just create. And imagine what that does to the art.
I mean, that is terrifying to
me.
And
it terrifies me that the soul of art is also in danger now, also because we are forcing people into that corner, and that is deeply upsetting.
But there's no soul in it.
But there is no soul, and even though we perceive both the art and the music as, this is enjoyable, almost objectively, this is fine. The minute we did this, because we've done this already to our clothes, and people are more herd mentality now than ever. Forget that they're individuals and they're scared to be individuals and bullied for being individuals. And then we did it to our food. The earth it grows out of is sick and it's been dead for years. Obviously we did use arsenic on our faces for makeup, so besides all the things we've done to make people sick, obviously now people live longer, but it's surprisingly that we know so much. We have access to so much. A few of us, the lucky people, have access to so much food, and still in so many places they choose the very food that gives them cancer and then makes them sick. So it's like we're stopping valuing even our bodies now, which we haven't been valuing for a long time, because it hasn't become more than something pretty to look at. And if you're not pretty, then you're fucked. And that's how people think, that their value is strictly to be perceived by the eyes, who never sees through you, just at you.
But I think it's as I spend time and I hear you speak, there's what I find deeply moving is that in spite of or despite of what we're talking about is hopelessness and despair, because the food, the planet, the way we treat each other, these are facts. They're not things we believe like a religion. These are actual facts. And the apathy that you say, so people don't really take any notice until it actually affects them. But that underneath everything, I still feel like there is so much good and so much beauty and so much, as I move about in the world, I see mostly good in my day-to-day life. I see mostly, if an old person falls down in the street, loads of people rush over. I see compassion and kindness and all the things that are so great in human beings. But then, of course, just bombarded with all this dark shit as well. And I think sometimes it feels to me like words are just not enough now. Outside of music and lyrics as a vehicle, it's just chatting and politicians and people and leaders saying you should do this and you should do this. And there needs to be something else. And I think art is it.
I think so too. And though we don't understand why do humans love music and need music? We don't know. But we do know that the people who attend concerts often, they are in general more happy. It releases something in the brain that reminds you that you have family and roots beyond blood and yourself, that you can perceive something and understand the same thing as strangers at the same time in a safe like it is really important for people. And I think I understand why people need spiritualism, or no, I mean to make maybe hasty answers to our Christians, so we can say that the darkness we're going through now, because this is dark times in our world, is a test. Because then there's also a way of taking action, which is one thing I like about a lot of religions, to look at hard things as a test, because it forces you to then think, okay, then what should I learn or take from it? What should I, and sometimes there is no answer. There's no logic in anything. I feel like if everyone is passive and apathic, and we spend all our time on our phones, forgetting the value of our protests, our word, our actions, and that the small can be a big thing if we all do it, because we forget that we're part of a wave. I understand that some people eventually will benefit a lot from that, all people being kind of passive, but then also having access to all of our profiles because of the way social media works. So it seems like we're heading into a time where some people will end up with a lot of power, and they'll have like a herd of passive sheep.
I think we're so clever and we're so greedy, and that it's not enough that our car goes 60 miles an hour. It has to go 80 miles an hour, and then it has to go 100 miles an hour. And then it's not enough that, we've got a computer. It's got to be faster, bigger, better, all the way. We possibly will do ourselves out of existence.
Yeah, because
we're so clever.
They need to up themselves so they will earn money on their news. It's all money again.
But great change comes out of chaos, I think. Sometimes it has to be really shit before change happens. And I think personally that happens. I won't do anything about something I need to do it about until I'm in an immense amount of pain. And then I will do it.
Same, but that is in our nature as well. And we're all like, oh no, you should have. No, we all do it. We all wait until the least to go to the dentist or to go to the doctor or to do the thing or to say I'm sorry or to call and admit. Like we always wait. When I talk about other things, that kind of rubs me the wrong way, I guess, in the way we have led ourselves to this point, and now in despair, how we react to that chaos, as you talked about. And I find myself quite disappointed sometimes, but then again, suddenly all inspired by people, because people are also trying. I think it's just important that we kind of get our head out of our ass and realize that now we need each other and the world needs us. Someone far away needs you to make the connection.
And it's about action.
Yeah.
It is happening. And you just have to have hope, I think. And just even in the darkest moments, think, does it matter if it's just me? If I just do one thing? Does that matter? Does it have any impact? And of course it does.
That's how any change ever has been made in our history. How anything great was built. How anything bad was conquered. Or good was inspired. It's all through masses of people. It's the most unexplainable, magical, powerful thing I know to exist. I've heard no louder sound than a mass. It just depends if they say what they're told to say, or if they agree on what they know instinctively is right to say. But I think, there is a lot of hope, and no matter what happens to us, it's not really about the survival of mankind, or it's more about if we're nearer to the end, if we're going to ruin ourselves, at least let it be with the soul of humankind intact and not shattered and non-existent. I think just for the sake of our children, people we care about, and for their future, we have to just always try.
But I think there's so much kindness and compassion.
I think so too.
There's so much, but we don't see. We're not bombarded with all the good acts, all the kind acts, all the things that people are doing. We're bombarded with the devastation and the darkness.
Yeah.
And I sometimes wonder if one of the points of that is to make us feel helpless and hopeless, so nobody does anything. But
because when you give up, that's beneficial to whoever is against us. It makes sense. Just don't let yourself be just led into a dead end. Just walk.
And this is where I do think the younger generation really have the capacity,
I think so too,
to rise up and they connect, I think, with music in a very deep way.
It's one of the last things that I think so too.
You have millions of people who listen to your music. And what do you think they're seeking that they find in your music? I mean, I feel like it's that thing that we can't explain with language, but they find it or they recognize it.
I feel like in the center of it, there's a nerve, which means it's kind of sentient. And I feel like whatever feels alive, like you perceive the music and the music also perceives you, and you play each other. I think I just know that I put something in there. And it's not every time, like when I do shows, obviously it's different from day to day, and if I'm tired or on my period, or it's all these different things that can make you more closed up, to really feel like it's literally pouring out of you, like I don't know. This doesn't always happen. I'm holding my hands out like a frog to whoever can't see. But sometimes during the show, when I sing to people also, and it's not even me, it's just the thing that happens in between us, it can make you forget that you even have a body. And you can dance and you're not even out of breath when you really should be. Of course, it's adrenaline, but it's also more than that.
But also there is like a charge. Like sometimes if I've been writing afterwards, I feel like I've been plugged into a socket and I've been overcharged, and I have to physically there's like an energy. And
that's so true. It really is something that isn't yours, that shouldn't be in there always, that it should go through you for a moment.
And do you know what I think is so great about music and art is you don't have to have spiritual belief. You don't have to follow a religion in order to connect to that. So even if your conceptual mind doesn't recognize what's going on, it's like your soul goes, oh, wow, like I know this, I remember this. Or something inside you that perhaps, this thing about everything that we need to know, we already know. It exists inside us.
And it's everywhere. And some people just do it without thinking about it, and it's there. Some people could do it more, but there's so much to do today that is besides the point of art in itself. So you can lose your way. Some artists I don't like or understand subjectively so much, but all of a sudden they have one song that has it out of nowhere.
And then I'll play that song 3,500 times in a row.
and then they have whatever is real all of a sudden, and then it can disappear or stay. It can be, I don't know, it can happen anywhere, this magical thing.
And I think that this is the whole essence. It's with some religions, and they try to explain and make you understand, and this is what you do, and this is what happened, and then, when you are talking in a broader sense about spirituality, you struggle to explain. I
Yeah.
mean, I'd make a terrible guru, because even if I knew what I was talking about, I wouldn't know how to.
You make a very charming one.
Well, I don't know. I feel like I'd be quite fun,
Yeah, that's what
but I'd probably
I would
lead
like
people
that.
into the fire, like for sure.
Yeah, but
You
that
know.
happens.
But I don't know. I can't help feeling with hopeful at the moment with the world. I do, underneath all of it,
Same.
you know. And it's like, how do
Strangely.
we encourage that? How do we, you know, I love, for example, as well, that a stockbroker or a hedge fund manager will go to a gong bath.
Huh.
I'm like, this is progress
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah, I think it's a matter of, again, self-care, to do the things you stopped doing at some point in your life that was good for you. For some people, it's dancing, using their body more, and understanding the body has value. It can carry you around. It can do things. You can do things with it. Make active choices if you're in an unhappy, apathic state, to change your life, because you can. It's exhausting, but it's so worth it, because every step you take
I'll be watching
I'll
you.
be watching, brings you closer to some kind of essence of what it means to be human, and what it means to be here for this small amount of time, or large. It depends how you perceive it.
So I'm definitely going to send you a copy of Siddhartha. I think you'll really love it. It's just what we're talking about.
And when he met the Buddha, right, he said, I cannot teach you. You have to find it yourself.
So he met Gautama, the Buddha, and Siddhartha said to the Buddha, I can see that you are enlightened. I can see that you are the one. I can see that you speak the truth, but you can't teach me that. I have to learn it myself.
Yeah.
Like, I can't be a follower.
Which is,
I have to
this is
experience.
exactly
Yeah.
what people now, because we have been just followers of things that aren't even true for so long, and it has led us here, not the best place. So it's time for all of us to not be just a follower. And even the success of art is also based on how many followers you have. It's all just around this strange kind of unconnected, apathic word, just you know, a brainless thing to just follow.
I feel like human beings like so desperately want like a guru or a teacher, or to be told what to do, or like to show us, because, you know, you come into the world and you have your parents and you have your childhood, but you don't get a rule book about being a human.
No.
You know, you can pick a religion which will tell you don't kill, don't do this or do that, and you'll be okay. But actually, I feel like, you know, all human beings are at some point in their life seekers.
Yeah.
They're like, what's this about?
We are immensely so. We
Yeah.
seek so much. We need so much. I say on one of the songs on my now latest album that I've needed so much with nothing to touch. And I feel like that's how it is. We cannot, there's nothing for us to grasp, and we want something so bad. But I feel like that's why music and art, and I guess love, is so good for us now, because it's not a teacher. It doesn't preach to you. It doesn't tell you what to do. It allows you to think for yourself for a change, which is good. And then it's more like a guide, and that's what we need, less than a teacher, because people have been trying to point a finger at
But
us.
also, like,
or
it is
them.
about connecting actually with yourself, back in with
Because
yourself.
you have the answer.
I know, it's so annoying.
It is so annoying.
It's so annoying. Do you have a place of sanctuary?
I used to think it was the forest, because there's nothing I need more than silence and then quality time with myself. But luckily, I've learned when I've traveled and the lack of forest have been very prominent. It is in me. It is myself. And it makes me immensely happy because I can achieve peace with myself now anywhere. And I don't think I would have survived this line of work without discovering so. So that's been very important.
You take yourself wherever you go.
Yeah.
Thank you to the wonderful Aurora. I absolutely love her. I feel like we could be sisters, even though she's considerably younger and considerably more pretty than I am. But we both have amazing fringes. I love talking to her about the importance of art and music and hearing about her creative process. And I especially love that her happy place is herself. She did also mention that sometimes when she travels, she leaves her soul behind, and before it catches up with her body, she spends a couple of hours out on the town drinking and behaving like a bit of a lunatic. And I said to her, I am your girl for that. Call me, I will meet you there. I'll leave my soul in Peckham. I think she's the most extraordinary artist. She's completely authentic and her work is imbued with everything that she talks about. I'll be back next week with another seeker, or not, as the case may be. In the meantime, I'd love to hear what you think of the episode, so do leave me a review. Be kind, the world needs it, so do I, and thank you for listening.